Welcome to the Dream Makers Circle podcast. I'm your host, Cynthia Santiago Borbon, therapist, empowerment coach, salsa dancer, travel lover, and entrepreneur. Driven by my deep belief in equity and social justice, I'm on a mission to help co-create a world where all people have the opportunity and right to live their wildest dreams. If you want to learn how to make big life changes, uncover your greater purpose so that you can fulfill your highest potential and intentionally design your best life, then you are in the right place. I am so excited to have my special guest today, Coach Luis Soto, who's a transformational life coach, meditation teacher, personal trainer, and motivational speaker. With over 25 years of experience in fitness, health, wellness, and transformational coaching, Luis has helped hundreds of clients achieve their personal best by combining his unique holistic methodology of mind, body, and spirit to his clients' regimen. With his deep passion and commitment to excellence in everything he does, Luis's drive and focus come from the love to serve the world powerfully. He understands the relationship between the mind, body, and spirit as being one element to achieve optimal performance in a person's life. Listening to people's stories about living life from all personal perspectives is what inspires and motivates him to be the best transformational coach for his clients. His genuine curiosity for human behavior and mindset psychology is the burning desire that keeps him focused and committed to excellence. Luis walks the talk and knows what it means to walk through the fire of transformation since he has been doing this work since a young age. Commitment, personal power, and the evolution of self is what Coach Luis Soto stands by. Hello, Luis. I'm so happy you're here.
That sounds amazing. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. It's my pleasure to be here. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone that is listening to this amazing podcast. And I'm just really excited to share my wisdom and my knowledge and my experience, for people to take it and create a powerful 2021.
Thank you. That's a great intro. And actually, so you are the first podcast of the year for Dream Makers.
Woo, yeah.
And you are my first male guest.
Male, wow. I'm honored.
I'm really excited.
Honor and privilege. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, of course. And just as I like to always tell people, I'm very transparent. So you and I actually have a friendship. Mm-hmm. We have become good friends, and your fiance and my husband, the four of us, we all hang out and have good times together.
The best.
But one of the things that really brought us all together was our deep desire and belief in transformation, the power of growth, right? And the power of learning and self-development. So before we jump into all the goodness, I wanted to ask you to share with our audience a little bit about where you're from and where you grew up.
I grew up in Washington Heights in Manhattan. And, growing up in a Latino household, sometimes it was really challenging, because both parents were working a lot. So you felt kind of absent, nobody really there guiding you. But my mom was very strict. We had a curfew. At 8:00 at night, she will open up the window on the 5th floor and she'll call out our name, embarrassing us in front of our friends. Come upstairs. And our kids, our friends would tease us. But, she was doing that to make sure that we stayed out of trouble. And I'm grateful for that. And I was thinking about what to share on this podcast about my journey of really tapping into my authentic self. And the theme that I want people to get is that before I was living from a place of why me? Why did this happen to me? Which is a victim mentality. Versus for me, what can I use for this experience to grow and to evolve? So, growing up, it was really challenging for me because I had several obstacles that I had to deal with at a very young age. First, I was diagnosed with rheumatic fever when I was in the second grade. And that's a disease that affects your heart, your brain, your connective tissues. And I was paralyzed for 3 months in a wheelchair. I had to stay in the hospital. Now,
Wow.
that was extremely challenging because I experienced a lot of loneliness. My parents, my family will come and visit me. But, a kid that's like 8 years old doesn't know what really was going on. So after I was able to leave the hospital, I still had to have penicillin vaccine shots in my leg every month for almost 12 years. So from like 8 to like 20, right? I had to take a vaccination shot in my leg. Now that was really hard for me because I felt if I didn't have that shot in my leg, then I couldn't live. And I used to ask my mom, like, why is this happening to me? I feel like a robot. This shouldn't be happening to me. And it's interesting because when the 30 days will come up, sometimes I wanted to skip the hospital and I will feel, my body being weak. That could have been mental, but that was what was happening. But that was kind of like the catalyst, the impetus for me to get into fitness and health. Because knowing that my heart was weak, I was like, something? I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to start doing something about that.
So how old were you when you started doing something about it?
I was 16 years old.
16. Okay.
And besides that, I also put on a lot of weight because I stopped playing sports. So I had to lose like at least 35 pounds. And I remember one day, my friend at the time was standing next to me, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was not happy with what I saw. My stomach was sticking out like a beach ball, and I made a vow to myself, and I told my friend, this is the last time that I'm gonna look like this. And I started training at the age of 16. I was working out 7 days a week, and I went on a ham and cheese diet. Now listen to this, ham and cheese with Wonder Bread, right? Remember, I'm living with my parents.
Oh, no, you're definitely giving our age away right now.
Yeah.
We know that is not healthy anymore, right?
No, at all. So I had the ham and cheese sandwich, no mayonnaise, water, and I lost 35 pounds in like 4 weeks.
You know, I did something really funny.
Uh-huh.
When I was about 16, I went on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich diet.
Wonder Bread. Look at that.
I did the same thing. I thought that was eating healthy, and I was like, well, I need to lose some weight. So I started eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches only.
That is so funny. But listen, it worked. I mean, I lost the weight. I was working out excessively twice a day, and it became an addiction. But it also became a habit. And it became a way of me dealing with what I was experiencing inside, my internal beliefs about myself, what I was going through. So it was a way for me to escape and at the same time make sure that I was getting healthier so I could get off the vaccine shots.
Okay. So this experience is we all experience some kind of childhood issues, sometimes trauma, right? And you openly talk about this on your website, that there was a point in your life where you realized you were really stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And Tell us a little bit about that time. Like, what did that feeling of being stuck feel like for you? And how did it show itself? Because I think a lot of people in our audience, right, we're talking about making our dreams happen. And a lot of times people feel very stuck, like, I don't know what to do next. And it's often more related, I say, to anything like an emotional state, right? So tell us about that time in your life when you felt stuck. What did that feel like to you, and what did you do to get out of being stuck?
Well, it was a combination of things because growing up dealing with the rheumatic fever issue and not being very secure about myself, I was also a victim of being bullied by neighborhood kids. And that's one of the reasons that I started to work out, right? To protect myself from not being bullied and also to create an armor. So having that armor, it should have gave me confidence and security, but it really didn't. Because when I was in my late 20s, all those emotions, all those negative beliefs about myself, not feeling good enough about myself, all the bullying that happened, everything just came to surface. And I had like an emotional breakdown that I was wondering, like, how did this happen? And that's when I decided to really go into spirituality and really start creating a new framework from focusing on the outer, the physical. You see, because if I didn't work out, I wouldn't have a good day. Like my happiness, my confidence was a result of me always working out and making sure that my body was lean and my body was toned, even though I was very insecure. But that's what I was using, right? That the exercise was that drug.
Mm-hmm.
But what I realized is sooner or later, all that shattered, all that narcissism just wasn't serving me anymore. So when I started my spiritual path, I started to realize that there was more to me besides my outer to really bring out, the inner. And I was going through a divorce, and that was a really challenging time in my life. I had to move back to my parents. I didn't feel good about myself, and emotionally, I just wasn't there. I also had a motorcycle at the time, and I decided to go for a bike ride late in the evening. And what happened was I wasn't thinking clearly, and I was about to get off an exit when all of a sudden I changed my mind and I stayed on that exit, and a car hit me from behind. When that car hit me from behind, I flew off my bike and I bruised my sacrum. All the nerves around my sacrum were bruised. So thank God I had a really good chiropractor at the time that took care of me, and I had to work with him for one whole month. But in that month, I was at my parents' home. I couldn't really walk, and that's when I discovered Unity Church of Christ, which Unity is a non-denominational church that really teaches us how to develop a strong relationship with God, whatever God we choose. And it so happens that the church was just 10 minutes away from where my parents lived. And I remember I went to a service that Sunday, and I was like, I found home. And that's when the healing started. So I started really developing my spiritual roots. And in the course of 10 years that I was going to Unity. I was taking classes to become a licensed Unity teacher, but also I became a yoga teacher at that time because I just wanted to heal. I wanted to heal all those trauma from the past. And that's when the whole shift happened from always focusing on the physical to knowing that it must be balanced. It must be body, mind, and spirit.
I love that. I love that. And you know how we think about this stuff, right? I don't believe in accidents per se, although you did have an accident,
Accident.
right? I do think that things happen to call awareness to our attention, right? Like and I mean, so significant that where the place you damaged that needed attention was your sacrum. My goodness, like the core of
Wow.
how
Yeah,
we
that stability.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and your like root chakra, really, like your core, that was like a real a time to really pay attention to that. And that's such a powerful thing. Like it was almost like a call from God to be like, hey, pay attention. This is where I need you to start paying attention, right? And to take that time, even like you said, I think that's such a powerful thing, Luis, to have gone within instead of continuing to look outside of yourself for the answers, right? And that's a lot of times what we work with our clients on, right? I always say my clients hold the wisdom inside of them. All I do is help them pull it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all have that. We all have relationship to spirit. And as you said, that can come in any form we believe. You know, some people call it universe, some people God, higher power, higher self. But we all have that relationship because we are mind, body, and spirit. So I got to say this, and maybe this is my own bias, but really love that you as a man who are so attuned to your physical body, right? Because even a lot of us women, right, we're so accustomed to looking at the body as the sole thing
Mm-hmm.
that we have, and yet we are so much more, that you were able to make that connection and transition for yourself. It's really powerful. So when you think about when you actually, I'm going to go back. You say something I really love, and you say my past does not predict my future. And you
Mm-hmm.
also talked about not seeing yourself in victimhood anymore. And I think that's really critical for people to be able to start to transform their lives and to start to manifest what they desire. So can you go a little bit deeper on what did you mean? What did you mean by you no longer gave in to like seeing yourself as a victim? And also why your past does not predict your future?
You know, that's a really great question because when you shift from being a victim to being an owner, right? Being a creator of your life, that's a huge quantum leap shift in your mind because when things are not working to your favor, it's really easy to say, yeah, but this happened because I experienced this in the past. Yeah, this happened because my parents did this. Yeah, this happened because I was bullied. And sooner or later, as you become an adult, you can't use that card anymore. You have to now realize that it happened, but it happened for you to grow. There was a catalyst. And almost in any experience that we have, things happen to us so we could grow and we could evolve. So what I like to say is I tell people that we are the scientists of our transformation.
Mm.
Life is our laboratory. And you look at your life and you see what's working and what's not working. You are your own scientist. So you could take that raw material that you have experienced in your past and then look at it and say, is this serving me? And is this bringing me closer to who I want to become? So there comes a time that we have to let go of all those grudges. We have to let go of the mistake, especially that negative self-talk that we say to ourselves. And we have to start giving ourselves more self-love, more appreciation, and also realize that we're human. We're going to make mistakes. But the key is, are you willing to learn from your mistakes and then use that for a platform to do your greatest work on this planet?
Yeah, and I think, one of the big things that you and I share in common as transformational coaches, but also just as human beings, and our love for self-development and spirituality, is also a real understanding that mental health and well-being is a must. And one of the reasons I'm so happy you're here is because I really hope to reach more men on the importance of taking care of their mental well-being. Right. So how do you incorporate the mind, body, spirit connection with your clients? What do you do with them?
Well,
What
when
practical, real practical tools and strategies that you use in your work to help them get, their transformation and their desired results?
when a client comes to me, I ask them, what type of transformation are they looking for? Are they looking for a physical transformation, or are they looking for a well-rounded transformation? Because there's people that just want to lose 30, right, 40 pounds. I put them on an exercise program, give them a nutritional plan, and then they follow that plan, right? They're going to achieve that goal. But then I always ask them, what's the reason that you want to lose the weight? What's the reason that you want your body to look like a Greek god? Like, what's the reason behind that? And you have people that are very narcissists, right? They're very vain, which is good, right? Because you want to have this healthy narcissism, which is like taking care of yourself. But I always tell my clients that there's more than just working out, because sooner or later the body gives up. You can't, it's easy to overtrain the body. I know, because I did it before in the past when I was younger, working out twice a day, and the body is sore. The body needs time to recover. And you're like, no, you're like giving the body, more pain. No pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. That doesn't work. Like that's for like muscle head mentality. We're talking about working out so you're healthy, right? Your body's healthy, but you're also strong. You're flexible. You look good in clothes. You feel good about yourself. But at the same time, you also have to take care of that mental and that spiritual component. So what I like to do is introduce the practice of meditation to help people with the stress. So even if they want to work out, they could take that off day to do a meditation practice. Just do like a 5-minute meditation practice. And then the next day, they go and they do another workout. Eventually, I will love them to meditate every day, but it takes time for people to develop that new habit. And I also incorporate spiritual principles for my clients to live by, which then will create a better transformational program, because the transformation is going to come from the inside out versus from the outside in. So it's not, I'm going to lose 30 pounds and I'm going to feel great about myself. I always tell my clients, you want to work with me at least 3 to 6 months, because it's going to take time for us to get to the root of the problem and see why you kept on gaining the weight, and you will lose the weight and then gain the weight. This time it's going to be a permanent shift in your identity, but also in your consciousness.
So some of the tools you use then, whether they come to you for weight loss or not, really are around helping them go in and look at the deeper reasons why they might not be sticking to their own desires, right? Because that's what it sounds like, right? Like, I want this thing, and yet whatever coping strategies the person has. And usually when there's things around body and weight and all that, those coping strategies are related to, again, could be like childhood traumas or experiences someone had growing up. And so what you do is you help them look at the emotional and mental reasons why, in fact, they might not be able to, before working with you, have been able to stick to what they desire for themselves, right?
No, exactly. So, I mean, if somebody has a really bad habit of smoking or always having a drink right before they finish their day, we get to the core and we're like, you ask the question, why do I need that cigarette? Like, what is that cigarette giving me if I don't have it, right? So when they start to work on, they start feeling better about themselves. Now they're taking care of their body tempo. So when they start taking care of that tempo, they're like, well, I worked out, I made the investment, to Luis. Why do I keep on smoking? So I think the first thing that somebody has to have is self-awareness before anything can change. And working with me, right, as their coach, just the same way that you do, we bring that self-awareness to them. Like we get the flashlight and we like put it on them so they could see what they have been doing on an unconscious level. So it's easier then, once you're aware, you're like, I wasn't aware that I was smoking 2 packs a day. I would just go out because I was stressed. But now you replace meditation instead of smoking cigarettes. So if you want to smoke a cigarette, you meditate, right? If you want to smoke a cigarette, you go for a walk. You want to smoke a cigarette, you do 5 push-ups. You try to do like a pattern interrupt, but the individual has to be open and willing to make that change.
Yeah, that's key. There's no change for anyone if they're not willing to do it, right? I always say no one can save you. You have to save yourself because, in fact, it's very critical that as an individual, you're invested in your own transformation. Otherwise, it really can't happen.
Exactly.
So we had an incredibly hard 2020, right? A lot of suffering, a lot of challenges, many people isolated. It was an incredibly difficult year. We have now moved into 2021, but we're not quite out of the pandemic at all, not even close.
No.
We have a long stretch ahead of us. What would you tell people that maybe there's some tips for like being at their optimum best right now, given the circumstances for 2021? What can they do to really incorporate that whole mind, body, spirit connection that you talk about that will help them be at their optimum for the year?
That's a really awesome question. And I wrote it down so I don't make sure that I forget it. So I have a 2021 plan of action, right?
Great.
For the listeners.
Okay.
So number one, I want people to think intentions versus resolutions.
Okay.
So when you set a resolution, your New Year resolution normally comes from what you didn't do the year before. So it's really coming from a place of your past mindset. When you set an intention is brand new and it's happening in this present moment. Doesn't matter what you didn't do before last year, but now you're setting that intention, and that intention is going to give you that driving force to now start a new path into being in the best shape of your life.
I love that. That's a great one. Okay.
That was good, right?
Yeah, that one was good. Give us the second one.
The second one is called give yourself a 30, 60, 90-day plan of action.
Okay.
Why? Because it takes 66 days to create a habit. People will say before, right? Studies show it takes 21 days to make and break a habit. No, it's 66 days, right? For us to create that neural net in our brain. So the best thing to do is say, hey, for 30 days, I'm going to start to exercise. It doesn't have to be extreme, right? That could be one day you're going to go for a walk, 30 minutes. The next day, you're going to do some push-ups, right? You're going to do some squats, like a little full body, circuit, little upper body, lower body. I do a circuit of like 5 different exercises that works the upper and lower body. Third day, you take a little dance class, right? The fourth day, maybe you do a meditation. The fifth day, you go for a jog. And what happens is over time, that starts to accumulate. That's like a compound effect. Mm-hmm. You're gonna see the results later on. You might not see it right away, but what you're doing is now you're creating a new routine. You're creating new habits. Instead of just saying, I need to get in shape, I'm going to start, working out every day and go on a crash diet, and I'm not going to, drink, I'm not going to eat cheese, I'm not going to do like that's too extreme. Again, right. Going back to your intention, the intention could be now, I want to be a healthier version of myself for 2021. That versus I need to lose 50 pounds by May.
Right.
Your intention is going to help bring the things that you need. Your intention is going to create that magnet so you can start drawing everything that you need, the right people, the right coach, right? The right plan. So always go back to your intention and give yourself that 30, 60, 90 day. Part of that plan is maybe you never ran a marathon and you could say, I want to run a half marathon this year. Never done it before, but you say you have now a 90-day plan. So you start to walk, right? From walking, you start doing a little jog. Then you start walking, running. Then you join a running club. And you start to now develop, right, this new routine in your life that goes back to the intention, I want to be healthier, right? In those 90 days, now the body has already been conditioned for you to get ready to run the half marathon.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and I love what you said about intention, right? Because intention really does focus us in even on the right questions, right? So if we're thinking about what we didn't do or how we somehow failed, or that's such a deficit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to get healthier this year. So then that drives the question of, well, what can I do right now to start getting healthier? And it could be a plan, just like you're talking about. All right, every day I'm just going to get some activity, right? So today I walk, tomorrow I dance, the next day I stretch, right? And that's how it starts, like you said, to have the compound effect. So do you have more tips?
I do have. Number 3, I put over here, work with someone to make you accountable to complete the promise that you made to yourself. You made a promise to yourself, right? You're not setting a goal. You made a promise to yourself. The accountability could come in many forms, right? You could hire a coach. You could get a good friend. You get someone that has the same intention and is committed to, doing the work. But you got to make sure that you have somebody that is going to make you accountable. So for the 30 days, you could tell somebody, hey, it could be a family member, it could be your spouse, whoever it is. I want you to make me accountable for these next 30 days. So every time I do an activity that is going towards me being the best version of myself for 2021, I'm going to text you. I'm going to call you. So you create this accountability partnership, and that is helping you keep the promise to yourself. Because if we leave it to our own devices, nothing's going to happen, right? History is going to repeat itself. But if you have somebody that wants the best for you, then it's going to work.
Yeah,
Now
I think that's the key piece you're saying there, because you want to, if you're going to, so first of all, I'll be honest with you. I think the best accountability you can have is with a professional that's going to really hold you accountable.
Of course, yeah.
Right? But in all fairness, not everybody's in a position to hire a coach. So if in fact you're not in that position, you have to find someone that really is not going to let you off the hook so easy.
Exactly.
Right?
That's it.
If you pick an accountability partner that's just like you and they're like, well, no, it's okay, you could do it tomorrow, or well, don't beat yourself up. And I agree with all that. Don't beat yourself up. We're working on something. But on the other side of that, I very strongly believe in this idea of holding ourselves accountable to the agreements that we make with ourselves, even. Right? The idea that we have made an agreement, and that contributes to our well-being as well. It contributes to our mental and emotional well-being, because part of what happened is when we keep saying we're going to do things and we don't do them, it makes us feel bad about ourselves.
That's true.
Right? So one of the ways in which we actually get healthier and happier is by keeping our own agreements. And then you start to feel productive, and you start to feel like, oh, wow, I did that. And you start to feel good, and you get a little, like a little prouder of yourself. And that also contributes to the momentum, again, that positive energy, pushing your intention forward. And that's something that I think is really great when we also have accountability. So I love that. Okay, what's the next one you have?
The next one is, and this one is really good. Okay. I want people to focus on creating new habits that represents their new identity versus the old habits that represents their old self.
Okay.
So check this out. There's a powerful book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg.
I've read it.
And in that book, he talks about the framework of a habit, right? It has 3 parts. It has a cue, a routine, and a reward. So if you want to change your habits, you got to look at those 3 parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. I'm going to give you an easy way on how you're going to start getting in shape. So what's a cue? A cue is something that you see right away that is going to trigger that routine. So for example, let's say that you want to start exercising early in the morning, but you have a hard time waking up, right? So you set the alarm, let's say for 6 o'clock in the morning. And this time you decided that you're just going to jump out, right? Once the alarm goes off, you're not going to hit the snooze. You're going to get up. Now, when you get up, guess what's waiting for you? There's sneakers on the floor. When those sneakers are on the floor like that, that's the cue. You're like, oh, now what's the routine? I'm going to start to tie the sneakers. And then you're going to go for the run, right? You're going to have that reward. You're going to have those endorphins kick in. Now, Charles Duhigg talks about the best thing to do is to change, right? You could change the cue and the routine because we ultimately want that reward. We want that dopamine hit. Another way for you to start sticking to your exercise program is make sure that you have your workout clothes laid out the night before. So then when you wake up, boom, you got the clothes. Okay, now it's time to exercise.
Can you want to hear something funny? I had a client that we were talking about her exercise routine as well. And actually, we talked about very similar things about having the clothes ready the night before, having everything out so you don't have to rush to in the morning to go looking for it. It was awesome. Well, she decided she was just gonna sleep in her clothes, her workout clothes.
Yeah, that I was gonna say that next.
All she do was put her sneakers on.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever works for you, exactly.
Whatever it takes. But the concept behind creating new habits that are representing your new identity is because if you think about it, everything that we do is built around habits, routines, rituals that make us have action and outcome. So you want to look at the habits that are not serving you and then look at the habits that will serve you. So instead of focusing on, my goal is to lose 30, 40 pounds, what's the habit that's preventing you from losing those 30, 40 pounds, right? One of the bad habits is I watch a lot of TV. So when I'm watching TV, I like to munch, right? You see all those commercials and you're like, oh, I haven't had pizza for a while. You know something? Let's order Domino's,
Right.
or let's start eating some chips, or maybe, you have a drink. So you have to look at all the bad habits that are not supporting who you want to become in this new year. And the beautiful thing about 2021 is 2021, it's a fresh year. It's a fresh start. Doesn't matter what you didn't do in 2020. 2021, and it's still early, right? Because even now, people decided I'm going to start working out and they're not following through their routines. They're not following through because they're being too extreme.
Yes.
If you're too extreme, that's not going to work in the long run. Again, going back to the compound effect and really just focusing on your habits. And this might take some time for you to write it down on paper and just put down, what are my bad habits that are causing me to put on 40, 50 pounds every year? And be honest, right? Because if you're smoking is going to trigger overeating, right? If you're drinking, again, that's going to trigger overeating, and it's going to keep on putting extra calories in your body. So you want to look at the habits that are no longer working, and it's time to say goodbye and put new habits. Oh, I'm going to focus on getting 10,000 steps a day. Little things like that, right? That's a couple of hundred calories that you're burning every day. You're not even seeing it. So you don't have to start, monumental to change your life. You just got to start with a habit that is going to pay multiple dividends in the end.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so we are actually coming to a close.
Wow, that went fast.
Yeah. And I promised my audience that I try to keep them to like half-hour episodes and try to get them the biggest bang for their buck, right? So
that was awesome.
What is just before we close out, what are you offering? What can we offer our audience? How can they find you? So is there something coming up for you that you would like to tell our audience about a program you're offering or anything like that working with you?
Yeah, I'm working on a program, meditation program that is going to be launching online pretty soon. But right now, if you want to work with me, I have a Groupon special that that you could take advantage of, and it's 50% off of what I normally charge. And this breakthrough coaching call is really going to focus on what you want to create for 2021. The call is not going to be about, let me tell you about my problems. I said I wanted to, this call is going to be laser focused on who you want to become and what you want to create for 2021.
Oh, that's fantastic. So it's like a laser coaching call.
Yeah, it's a laser coaching call. You know, I don't want to like get into details about the past, because again, everything that I shared right here, all the 4 steps, right? The plan for 2021, just putting that into action, having somebody making you accountable, you will start to be, you start moving forward faster instead of just taking time to just rehash the things that didn't work for you in 2020.
Okay, so we will make sure to put your link up for your special promo you're running right now. And in general, how can people find you on your Instagram, your website?
Yeah, so, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook is at Coach Luis Soto.
Okay.
And there, you'll see my videos, you'll see my messages of transformation. I try to talk about, again, the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. And my website, you could come, check it out, read more about my story.
Okay, great.
But I'm here to serve. This was awesome, Cynthia. I had a great time.
As our first guest, 2021, and our first male guest. And and we will make sure to let people know where they can find you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all those great tips.
Thank you. This was awesome, and I can't wait for us to get together, you and Tabaret, Claudia and I. We got to do a lot of celebration. So
2021.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you're ready to start reclaiming your dreams, download my free empowerment guide, where I take you through my step-by-step process to start helping you clarify and align with your highest purpose so you can live life on your terms. You can download your free guide at www.dreammakersacademy.com/align with your purpose guide.